Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. Seeing people join as our participant numbers jump up there, that's nice. Welcome everybody to episode 1 of the LA Conservation Corps' Resilience 2022 series, focusing on the Corps member and community connection. This is going to be our year-long series dedicated to understanding the work that our Corps members do, Corps does, and the impact that the work is having on the young adults in our program and also out on our neighbors and our communities. I'm Erica Blodgett. I am the Director of Development and Communications here at the Corps, and I'm excited to serve as your moderator today for this conversation where we're going to dig into some of the quality of life issues that people are facing around the city. For those of you who might be new to the Corps, we are a nonprofit organization, been around for about are we about to celebrate our 37th anniversary? Yes. Providing young adults and youth with environmentally focused education and job training opportunities. Job training opportunities and career development to help remove, and services to help remove barriers to any success they might want to achieve in their future. Joining me today is Barbara Romero, Director and General Manager of LA Sanitation and Environment, Wendy Butts, the CEO of the LA Conservation Corps, Irvin Flores, one of our crew supervisors and a former Corps member, and Jasmine Flores, a current Corps member. Jasmine has been at the Corps for about a year and has some interesting insights into what's going on out in the community and what this work is meaning in her life and for her family and friends. Just some housekeeping as we go through our discussion. Please feel free to put comments and questions in the chat, and we'll try to keep up with those as best we can. Let's get started. Stop hearing from me and start hearing from people who have interesting things to say. We're talking about quality of life. We're talking about the work that the Corps does on community beautification teams. These are some creative ways of dancing around some of the things we want to say about the state of what's going on in certain communities around illegal dumping and litter and things like that. So I am going to first start off by asking Wendy. We're calling this series Resilience 2022, and that's been a theme here at the Corps. So what does resilience mean to, how would you define resilience at the Corps and what it means to us?
So I'm going to start off by stealing what somebody else said about resilience, and then I'll move into mine. So this is a quote from Maya Angelou, and it really, it touched me because I think it touches on what we do here at the Corps. I'm not sure if resilience is ever achieved alone. Experience allows us to learn from example. But if we have someone who loves us, I don't mean who indulges us, but who loves us enough to be on our side, then it's easier to grow resilience, to grow belief in self, to grow self-esteem. And it's self-esteem that allows a person to stand up. I truly believe that the most important thing for Corps members is for Corps members to build their confidence. As they become more confident in themselves, they take on bigger challenges, and as they achieve small goals for themselves, they're more willing and comfortable to set and work on bigger goals. This is how Corps members prepare themselves for the rest of their lives. The experience of the past 2 years has solidified both our Corps members and the Corps' place in our communities, and it has built Corps members' pride in themselves and in the quality of life and essential work they've achieved throughout Los Angeles in a way that I haven't quite seen in the same way in my many years before at the Corps. They have embodied the definition of resilience as they faced adversity, loss, and isolation, and as they grew, developed, and embarked on their own green career pathways, and pathways of all sorts.
Wonderful. Thank you for setting the stage in such reminding us what everybody's working towards here, and the strength that we've been able to see in our team over the last 2 years and over the last 37, but especially in this current time. Okay, Barbara, you're up. Bring everyone up to speed on what we're talking about here. What's the situation that the city's facing right now? The increases in illegal dumping, the need for more core crews to be participating in this. Oh, you're on mute. That's okay.
Of course. Hi, everyone. So LA San is one of the environmental utility departments in the city of Los Angeles, and we're really here to help protect public health and the environment through various programs. And we've created specific programs to address some of the illegal dumping and unwanted households, abandoned waste, hazardous materials, and biowaste. So I just want to focus, since you asked us to focus on illegal dumping a bit, here, illegal dumping right now is a public and persistent, hazard, and it's become a blight in our public right-of-ways. Just in 2021, LA San responded to nearly 30,000 illegal dumping service requests, and we collected over 15,000 tons of solid waste. That's like 30 million pounds, or equivalent to about 7,500 cars in pure weight. So despite, those efforts, there's so much room for improvement and collaboration with nonprofits like LA Conservation Corps that we hope, we continue to foster these relationships to strengthen not only our, to integrate not only the work, how we do it, sharing the data, and then just build to improve the services to combat illegal dumping. Because currently, I could tell you about what we responded to, but what the biggest issue that we're facing is the unreported illegal dumping. So we hope that with your assistance that we can expand our outreach and education to really optimize not only our deployment resources, but to make the city, ultimately to make the city cleaner and greener, because that is what we need to address, is the unreported, and how can we work with you to proactively go out to those unreported illegal dumping sites where it's happening quite often.
And just anticipating maybe questions from the public, is there a reason it's getting you've seen so much increase these days?
Well, I think with COVID, these last couple of years, we were there were some legal reasons, some public health issues that we couldn't clean around encampments. So it exacerbated some of the issues. And then with people not going into offices, it also created opportunities for people to, illegally dump in those areas where, typically were high trafficked areas, I would say. So I think all that confounded the issues that we were dealing with, but they're worse now. And for the city of LA, for the last 2 years, we had a hiring freeze as well. So with retirements, with people moving on, all that has an impact on how much we were actually addressing.
So we have some photos for folks who maybe have not seen this in their neighborhood. So we have some photos of a quick slideshow for people to see what we're talking about, some of the work that our crews have done. And I would invite Barbara and also Irvin or Jasmine, if you want to go pipe in and tell us what we're looking at here. So Adrienne, if you want to move to the next slide. So we see if you see these crews out in the field, the green helmets and the orange vests, that's us. Typical day, Irvin, is this what something looks like?
Yes, the picture on the left is out there in City 4. So it's, right under the people don't normally walk by, so it's not, as foot traffic goes, it's not, really busy there. So it's a popular spot for illegal dumping and trash. A little bit further upwards, heading north, there's a little encampment site right on the freeway. So, they just use it as a dumping site, because they know that we go and service those areas. So they're like, oh, we'll throw it there, and LACC is going to go and pick them up.
Right. What do we have next? This is one of our before and afters that if you follow our social media at LA Core, you'll see a lot of.
This is a site near our Goodwill. It's a site that we hit a lot. It's a hot spot just because there's a few homeless encampments there. They tend to dump it there, wherever it is, their belongings, they tend to throw it there. So we tend to clean that site almost like twice a week, maybe once a week, depending on our how many locations we have. But that is a hot spot we tend to always go to every week.
Barbara, is that something that LA Sand deals with too, seeing the same sites over and over?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. We have areas, high chronic areas that we're trying to better address. Is, not only addressing from how often we go out there, to also, looking to see that the type of littering that's happening, from what kind of commercial or industrial properties it's coming to. So then we also have our, have investigations, because you can see that in some, we utilize a lot of our historical data and that it's clear and there's pockets of where this is happening.
Right. What do we have next? So this, you guys were explaining, Jasmine, you were describing to me yesterday, we use a lot of, terms around the core that other people might not use, but this is an example of a bulky, right?
Yeah, so it would be a bulky item, which bulky items consist of like couches, mattresses, bed frames, and this is one of our a bulky item that we pick up. So it would be like the table. We tend to take it to our
city yards.
Yeah.
And you guys, we were talking about this yesterday. People can call. There's a way for people to call to get these things removed. We don't have to just leave them on the street, right?
Correct. There's many ways to get rid of these items legally. There's 311, the number you could call, and there's also an app for that. So I personally use an app for that for the area that I live out in South Central, and a lot of, it's everywhere around the city. It's always the same thing. When it comes to like New Year stuff, that people buy bunch of new beds, new refrigerators, new items, and they don't know what to do with them. So, let me put it outside and hopefully somebody takes it away. But it's, you could literally get rid of it for free, even just by submitting a request, and the city will go and pick it up.
It seems like a reasonable request, not too hard to do.
No, yeah. So.
What else do we have in terms of images? This is some of the kind of work you guys were talking about yesterday when we talked offline.
Correct. So these long stretches, we usually have a crew that changes liners, which are these metal trash cans at every corner, at every main intersection, or every now and then every in between the streets. So the reason it gets so overflown that way is because there's a lot of heavy foot traffic. But there's stores like liquor stores or even like restaurants in front of the specific trash can. They obviously need somewhere. They need somewhere to go to the trash. And for that reason, it gets so overflown because it's so much trash. So we have teams that are servicing these routes daily, if possible, to obviously minimize the overflow of trash can that potentially could lead to critters, eating up all the food there and everything, or all the overflowing trash can flowing into the rain gutter, the storm drain, and leading to the oceans, which is what we
Right.
don't want. So, we try to maintain all these things as, we try to do these quickly as possible. But, there's also outside variables that kind of make these people go through the trash cans, and that's unavoidable because we're not there all 24 hours a day. So, we try to do as much as we can during the time that we're here.
As we flip through the last couple of images, Barbara, why can you comment on, the Corps and LA San have been working together for a long time. Why is this a good partnership?
So we have, and I think it's why this works is because we align on a couple of values. We focus on education, on conservation, and then the promotion of a healthy environment. But I think primarily, in terms of the work, it's, you guys can help us clean our streets and our sidewalks and alleyways, but more importantly, the coordination of, do we come before you or after you? Because there's part of the challenge is, as we alluded, is, once a person calls it in, it goes into our system, and the way that it's coordinated, it might be reported like the day after your technical, like Wednesday was your trash day. We're supposed to go back then following Wednesday, but in the meantime, what ends up happening is there becomes an accumulation. If there's one thing that you put out, that it's going to sit there. So making sure that if the Corps is going to come out and do it beforehand, that we don't send somebody, how do we make sure that they take care of that ticket? Or if it's not one that's been reported, how do we, have that conversation so that we're coordinating? Is it, where does it make more sense, on the front end or on the back end? Because a lot of times some of the of our bulky pickup crews pick up the bulkies, but then there's all kinds of other debris that ends up staying there. So how do we capitalize on making sure we coordinate those resources about, to clean all the activities that are required within our public right of way? So as I said, but the high volume of illegal dumping that exists right now, most of the challenges are ultimately, the ones that are not reported. So how do we ensure that we're more efficient with our, our deployment? And the only way to do that is to ensure that we coordinate those efforts.
Which I think we do a pretty good job of together, the two groups, the Corps and LA San together. I'll let Wendy talk about that in a few minutes. Jasmine, as you look at those kind of photos, what's it like working on this kind of crew? What does it mean to you, and what do you and your fellow Corps members think about when you're out there?
And to be completely honest, it is frustrating seeing like illegal dumping, because like Irvin said before, there's solutions to this. There's a number you can call. If you don't want your voice heard, if you don't want to talk over the phone, there's an app for it. So there's solutions to it, but I just feel like people are so used to, this being solved by other people. Like where I live by Lincoln Heights. So in Lincoln Heights, there's this site by the hospital that there's always illegal dumping. They, I believe, I'm not sure who goes and picks it up, but they go and pick it up, they clean it up, and the people there see that they, it's being cleaned up every week, every 2 weeks. So they're like, oh, what is it to them? Like, let me throw it again. Someone's gonna come pick it up eventually. So I feel like that's the frustrating part, because there's solutions to it, but people tend to be, ignorant sometimes, and they don't, So yeah, but overall.
But you keep coming back. You're here every day.
Yeah, yeah, basically. But I'm happy to be part of this, this program, because I'm able to inform other people to what, as to what I do. We clean up the city. We help out. You know, not many people see it that way, but that's how I see it. I see it, you know, us helping out the city. You know, day by day, we go clean up illegal dumping, bogeys. So yeah.
I see some comments in the chat, and we'll get to those in a little while as after we go through some of our, get to know a little bit more about our program so that everybody understands all the things we're doing. So Wendy, a little bit piggybacking off of what Barbara said and then what Jasmine's been talking about, why is this a good partnership for the Corps? Why is this good work for Corps members? Why is the Corps involved? Mute.
This is work we've always done, but it's timely because the pandemic really brought everything back to the basics. For us, for so many of us, for all of us here, I'm sure, what that looks like is, you know, it kind of boils down to health and home or health and family. And our cleanup work throughout Los Angeles puts our Corps members in their own neighborhoods, doing tangible work that not only benefits the community at large, but work that matters to them at the most basic level. Keeping our streets and neighborhoods clean is about ensuring a good quality of life for everyone. Our Corps members are able to work where they live, make an impact in the neighborhoods where their families and friends spend time. And that means a lot. So many Corps members have shared that with me over these last 2 years. Corps members are directly involved in the biggest issue of today in our city. Homelessness and keeping our city clean and green is something that our Corps members see up close, and they're able to directly affect through their own work. Our Corps members and community's resilience are embedded as well in our current strategic roadmap. We're committed to providing a robust and comprehensive program to our Corps members and important climate action in our communities. Right now, what that looks like is being called to address current and basic health and safety concerns. The hope is that when we address those, we can refocus our attention on the future work of healing our climate. One is totally dependent on the other.
It's got to be, well, I know being part of the team, it's complicated being in that moment of kind of triage when everybody needs our help, and also taking the time to look ahead to the future. There's so many different things everyone could be doing. We have one role that we play, and a couple roles that we play here at the Corps. One of those, and I think has served us well over the last 2 years and served the community well, and Barbara can comment on this as well after Wendy, but the Corps is known for being nimble and responding quickly. How do we do that? How do we make that work? How is that a benefit?
So it's been almost 2 years, right? When the mayor declared a state of emergency and deemed specific services as essential. The support services that we provide, like tree planting, graffiti removal, and beautification and cleanup, were deemed essential. So we knew we weren't shutting down. We weren't closing our doors. We were going to be even more important than we ever had been before. We refocused our project priorities to come to the city's assistance. We did everything from cleaning and greening to providing support at food distribution events. We made deliveries to those who were homebound. We responded to requests by city council offices to distribute PPE and supplies. And we worked closely with our city contacts to be of the most service to them and to everyone, all of their constituents, all of our neighbors. We're partnering with council districts now to clean up the city with funding they received through the repurposing of LAPD funds. This is where the need is now. And the quality of life issue is urgent for all of us. The Corps is able to respond so quickly to calls like this for this kind of support because we have the infrastructure to support large-scale project work. We have experts on our team who ensure that we meet our project sponsor needs and stay on schedule. Unfortunately, right now we're challenged like so many others with lots of work and decreased staffing levels. We are definitely committed to recruiting young adults who will benefit from our program amongst strong competition in other industries. So thank you so much, Jasmine, for choosing the Corps. We know you have other choices. It's such important work, and we know there are young people who believe in it as much as we do. We're confident we'll find them or they'll find us. This is just, it's an imperative that we are all so committed to, and it's partnerships like we have with the city that ensure that we will stay relevant.
Let's take a minute there, because we are talking about, and I'm throwing a curveball at you here. We have work, and we have spaces for young people to come join the Corps. Why should they sign up now? Why come be part of this?
I think, this recruitment issue is not, it's not specific to the city of LA. It's all over the entire country right now. I just got back from a trip to DC where I was with leaders of Corps from across the country, and we're all grappling with this. There's just so many opportunities right now for young people to earn a lot of money. And so what we need to do is message that it's so much more than work experience. It's so much more than a job here at the Corps. Yes, we provide work experience and job training. Yes, that work experience and job training is directly benefiting communities where our Corps members live and work. But there's so much growth and development that we can provide to Corps members who choose us. We offer high school education for those who do not have their diploma yet. We offer opportunities for enrollment in community college and other vocational education training programs. We offer a whole suite of life skills and training and education for Corps members to set themselves on their life path strong and ready. It's all of those wraparound services. It's all of the other things we provide to Corps members that make this the right choice for so many young people. And so that's the message we're working hard to get out to all of the young people we know would benefit from our programs. We're thinking differently as well. It's not just the young adults who live near our program sites. It's other groups of young people who historically haven't come to the Corps that we want to reach now. College students who might be taking a gap year, college students who need some extra income, college students who want to give back and learn while they earn. It's young adults who are graduating from high school and don't know what they want to do next. It's young people who have a real drive and commitment to their communities, but also climate action and natural areas across Los Angeles. So we have so much to offer here. I think we've always said we're LA's best kept secret. And I think we need to look at things in a way through a different lens and really expand our advertising and marketing efforts to make sure that the young people that we serve here and could serve here know all that we have to offer them.
Thank you for going off the agenda for a minute and taking that moment to remind us of that. And
if I may, I think an added value is for, excuse me.
That's okay.
Is an opportunity to offer jobs. How do we bridge, career pathways for these Corps members to city jobs? That's like the nut we need to crack. How do we do that? A bridge classification. And where they're, the same kind of work that Corps members are doing to some level are the type of experience that it would be helpful, for them to come on to work, like at a department like sanitation.
Let me just take a minute. We have lots of things going on in the chat, especially from a couple of our viewers. And I want to let you guys know, Vida, I think your name is, and we're gonna try and give Barbara some time to, if she's open to it, to respond to some of the ideas that you've been putting in the chat. They're mostly about increased needs for more. I will say simply. So if we can take a pause and we'll let her read some of those comments and decide where she wants to comment on those. And in the meantime, let's go back to Irvin and Jasmine to talk a little bit about the day-to-day and the work here at the Corps. Irvin, you have been here how long now? What did I say before?
I've been here overall 10 years. So I pretty much started as a Corps member, just like Jasmine, and worked my way up all the way to a crew supervisor. So that has allowed me to experience many trainings, many different work projects, many different communities all over the city. So, gain a lot of experience throughout my time here.
So talk a little bit about what's different right now in terms of what's going on in the community, the calls that we're responding to, things like that, the kind of work we're doing. And also, is there, and maybe there's not maybe the answer is it isn't different. Talk about the Corps members and the crews we have working right now.
So comparing the time when I first started as a crew supervisor, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, till now, I do think that we're making an impact, whether it's a small impact or a large one. The point is that we are out there doing the work. We're on the front lines, taking care of business. So I know that the communities that we service are very appreciative of our crews being out there. I know that Jasmine is only going to be here for a certain amount of time, but the crews that I've had before, her and I have Aaron in my team now, but before them, there were other crews that were servicing South Central areas or even here in the Lincoln Heights area. So it just overall, it's like people know who we are. So we're making an effort to help those people that can't necessarily, reach out for help. So we're out there giving them aid and just helping in any way we can.
Mm-hmm. That's a bit of a different skill set than maybe what you thought you signed up for.
I know that I first found out about this program, the LA Conservation Corps, back in middle school. At that time, I was in middle school, but I guess because of my grades, they didn't accept me. But now I'm here in full force, so I always wanted to be a part of the Corps since middle school. So it's come full circle where I'm here in the front lines doing what I honestly do enjoy this working here, just because before I joined the Corps, I was very, very timid, very not conscious about what was going on around me. So I was in my own little bubble, but the Corps has helped me expand my horizon. So now I know that it takes a lot of work, and because I do see stuff when I go home. Why is there so much trash? Why is there so many bulkies along my route? And even though I do input them into the 311 app, it still takes a bit of time because there's so many requests out there that we cannot get them immediately. But we're all doing our part.
Do you? I'm throwing you a curveball. Do you ever wish your crews were working in your neighborhood and not in a different one?
All the time, all the time, because since I'm very familiar with my area. I grew up there. I've been there since 4th grade, which is a long time ago. So I know all the areas that need to be serviced, and areas that in South Central area where all my friends live. They also know which areas are heavily impacted by double parkings where they don't care because they don't live there. So they'll throw trash in the middle of the street in front of their homes, or they'll just like, I got a new couch, and throw away my old couch in front of your house because you have to deal with it, not me. So things like that, as opposed to the area that we service right now, CD4, there's a lot of help out there. There's volunteers that actually care about their neighborhood, and they'll go and take off time from their day and do it themselves. So they're more involved in that area as opposed to where we're at.
And we know we're working in all kinds of different neighborhoods, not just one council district, lots of districts. And different groups helping where they can. How I don't know if I should ask this actually of Irvin, or if I should ask Jasmine. How does your supervisor keep you motivated?
Well, he always like is giving me advice. Like he's always telling me like, hey, you know, take advantage of these programs. Like not only are you working here, you know, you're also, you know, expanding your knowledge on the core. So for example, I don't have my driver's license, and that's one thing that, you know, he has motivated me to go and get. So he's like, go ahead, like go get it. Like, you know, what are you doing? Like it doesn't matter if you don't have a car, none of that, you know, just go ahead and go get your driver's license. It's gonna help you once you leave this course, you know, this program. When you leave this program, having your driver's license is gonna open so many opportunities for you that I may not see now, or I didn't see back then, but I do see now. So, you know, he's always talking about his past and his, you know, how he helped himself out through the corp. So him talking to me about like the, you know, the programs that this corp has, like AmeriCorp, it can help me when I go back to college. I'm gonna go back to college this August. So AmeriCorp might help me with that extra money, you know, extra help. So he's always, you know, giving me advice. So I would say that's what keeps me motivated. He's also helped me become a little bit more independent than what I already was. Every morning he always tells me like, oh, go get the tools. Or he told me one time, and from that one time that he told me to just go grab the tools, load the tools into the truck, it kind of stuck with me. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I can do this on my own. Things like there would be like bags that I would think were heavy. He would tell me, you can do it. You know, figure it out. You'll do it. Like you can do it. So that's things like that. Like it just like I'll be like, damn, like okay, you know, it helped me. It helped me become more independent, more you know. Yes.
Wendy, I think this is the kind of spirit that we want to, you know, harness and work with Barbara's team on getting more folks onto that next path, on that career path.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is exactly what we started out with, which is you're building your confidence, and each of those goals you achieve, getting your driver's license, enrolling back in school, like all of those things, when you achieve them, will give you the confidence to set larger goals. So yeah, I failed to highlight what we're all about, and that's getting our core members ready for what comes next and shepherding them through that process, making sure there's a job waiting for them on the other end. That's why the partnership with sanitation is such an important one for us and all the different departments we work with at the city. We are preparing the next generation of workers, not just for the city, but across our communities and beyond. These are the climate action workers. These are the young people that are gonna, you know, get us through this crisis, not just the current crisis of illegal dumping and the quality of life issues that impacts, but also the climate crisis.
Irvin, what does it mean to have young people doing this work, being part of our crews?
Having young adults is very it's essential, because we, as not that we're so apart in age, but when I started working here, I was 20, you know, and she's 20 as well. So that's when I started really opening up to the idea of like, well, I need to do my part in my community, because if I ever want to see any change, you know, if nobody's doing it, then I'm gonna have to do it myself. So if having gained so much experience through the core via all the trainings and all the experiences and all the different projects all over throughout these years, I have that knowledge and that experience to pass down to these guys. And, you know, having them, if they have no, I don't want to make it sound like sense of direction, you know, I could potentially guide them in a proper path that opens up their mind to like, maybe you're right, you know, maybe I could do something better. Maybe I could do this differently. Maybe I could just do these things certain ways to have a major impact later in my future. So, I believe that we're being here so long, I've seen so many people come and go, and most of them have gained experience and seen their outlook on life and in their area of the communities in a much more positive, green, conscious way.
That's that feeling that we have everywhere here, part of something bigger, part of opening up people's eyes to what we didn't know, things you didn't know about until you worked here or learned about. Okay, Barbara, you ready to answer some of these, to talk a little bit about what are some solutions that are out there? I mean, the Corps is going to always be here to do as much, to provide as much help as we can. And you've maybe seen lots of comments in the chat, particularly about, folks coming from a certain neighborhood and feeling like maybe their neighborhood's being neglected a little bit. Are you take this opportunity to shed some light for folks a little bit on how things are getting done and what plans for the future are?
So one of the interesting things is like our livability group, which is now tasked with helping to clean our public right of way, has grown from, they weren't even a division, to like 5 times in the last couple years. So we went from not a division to like almost 500 people working to being one of the largest divisions because of the need.
Mm-hmm.
So how, so now what we're doing is it's such, it has, these services have become front and center at this point that, there's not enough. Do we need more resources? Absolutely. Because even then 500 people isn't enough. So nonprofits, under, Office of Community Affairs, under the Clean LA program, there has been all this state and federal dollars trying to do exactly what the Corps members are talking about, that as we address cleanliness cities, we should be doing it in building our future, building their confidence and building the future leaders in helping to solve this problem. Because I think that's one of the things that, if this is, how we're addressing this issue while we're building, our future leaders, that is one of the solutions that I think, because of the flexibility. But I think with that, because so many people have been looking at how do we address this, is now it's like an opportunity to look back since we, and look, where are the overlapping services? Where's the data? And, like we started a dashboard that now we're trying to provide that information to nonprofits like LACC, so that we're not, so it's a centralized coordinated approach, so that we know where everybody's going. And under that, then we can also then look at, like some of the people here are asking, then we can look at more proactive approach that focuses on chronic locations, on historic service requests, and putting more resources to those areas. And the only way that ultimately, does it mean we need more bodies, or does it mean like it should be a holistic approach? Because as some of you have alluded here, part of it is education. That is like I said at the front end, that one of the biggest problems is, we get it, like I talked about, we responded to 30,000, but how many of those 30,000 were for the same area, for the same thing? A lot of them. So there, in some areas of the city, we can get 10 requests for one illegal dumping site, where in other areas, we don't get as many for, 50 of them. So how do we use education? How do we use, utilize these partnerships like neighborhood councils, like, nonprofits, to help us do some of that? But I think ultimately, I think one of our best investments is, in in partnering with nonprofits like LA Conservation Corps. But, as it relates to this, someone alluded to education, information enforcement, and roaming crews automatically to pick up items. That's happening. We established 9 illegal dumping teams. Is it enough? No. But are we actually now working? So we're having a staggered shift so that we're doing this, 7 days a week. We're doing that now that we're proactively going to the places, and we're not doing the service requests. We're just attacking based on those chronic hotspot areas, and we're going out there. But the challenge is that we go out there and clean it up, and then the next day, the next weekend when we come, it's there again.
Yeah.
So, and then on the enforcement side, the best way, is it a camera? What is going to be the way that we deter that? Because at that point is we, in order to prosecute that, it just creates other challenges. So I think, from sanitation's perspective, we just got to get the stuff out of the public right away as soon as, people want us to, be efficient with our time. We want to be thorough, but we also I think what I'm looking at internally is how do we make it quicker? How do we make our response time quicker so that stuff doesn't sit out there for a week? So those are some of the things that I think we need to solve for, and ask the hard questions are, just because this is the way we were doing it, does that make sense now? Based on the demand and need, and how much do we ask for? What kinds of additional resources do we need? And some of it is, I was having a brainstorming session about artificial intelligence, why, but when you go down that rabbit hole, you're going, nope, what people just want us to better coordinate how we service the requests, and then how we proactively look at those that are not being requested so that we address, the larger issue at hand. So, and then someone alluded to streets, about sweeping the streets. Unfortunately, that's under, street services, and that's not under sanitation. So even then, it's how do we better coordinate with street services, when we do these more, massive illegal dumping sites and locations.
Right.
So I hope I answered most of the questions, but I feel, hi, Glenn. Yeah, it is, that education piece of, having those safe centers. I mean, I've been trying to open up a new safe center in South LA, but we need, we need a location. How is it is a mobile service a better approach than instead of forcing people to go to them? That would be some good pilot to try out with the Corps, is to going out there. But people are changing their oil. They're not changing it during the week. They're changing it, on their weekends and at night, so that's also another thing we need to look at, these altered shifts. How do we make sure that it's just not happening, from 7 to 3, that some of this work is happening in these altered shifts so that people can see that that's when the need is. It's, it's 24/7, 7 days a week, that in order for us to address what has become one of the, the biggest issue in our city today.
And it comes back to, it's interesting how doesn't matter what kind of organization you are, what your focus is, what Wendy was talking about before, the difference between what we're doing in this moment, triaging the work that needs to get done tomorrow, and you working with your team to look ahead to different kinds of longer term solutions, brainstorming new ideas, listening to the public and seeing what they, ideas that they have. I know for a fact, somebody mentioned something in the chat about making littering socially irresponsible. And I want to hear from Jasmine and Irvin about that, how they talk to people. I know Jasmine was telling me about how she talks to people now.
I'll go first.
Sure.
So we definitely encounter a lot of constituents that live in various areas, And for the most part, they are very appreciative when we go out there. We talk to them, and we just talk to them normally. We don't go up to them aggressively like, hey, give me your stuff kind of thing. We talk to them if there's any need for us to be there or anything that they want to throw away. And then there's situations where we have to deal with homeless encampments. So those situations are very like, they know that we're coming because there are sanitation crews, there are LASA that goes out there and talks to them before we go out there to make sure that everything's okay. So as long as we're all in agreement where they have their set trash that needs to be taken care of, there is no any conflict between anybody. So, but for the most part, we've encountered a lot of people that are appreciative to cleaning certain parts of their neglected neighborhood. So yeah.
Jasmine, do you want to add anything, or?
I feel like the downside to that is, it was very great, but we do have certain people that do like record us, and they see it as a bad way, like we're taking away these, human beings' belongings, which is wrong. We do ask them ahead of time. We do go up to them. At the end of the day, they are human beings like us. So we do go up to them. We ask them, hey, any other, items that you don't use, instead of throwing them into the street. We pick them up. There is this homeless encampment that we did go clean up. It was with another supervisor that I did go with. And one thing that I did really shock me was that these people had a big bucket of where they would throw their trash. So we would just come in and dump it into our truck, which helped us a lot because they showed us hey, there's homeless people, you see them as the bad people, I guess. Oh, they're always throwing these trash and all this, but they do their part. Some of them aren't there because they want to, but they do their part in helping us clean up the city.
Thank you for giving us a little bit of more insight into what is going on every day. Wendy, why don't we wrap up, because the last question I was going to ask you kind of goes along with, seeing some folks who are clearly stepping up as trying to be community leaders and are community leaders. What is your advice to people who are trying to build partnerships with agencies like Barbara's or others, and trying to get things done?
Well, I think as so many of my colleagues, and I'm sure those that are listening in, watching today, as so many of you know, partnership is not a one-way proposition. We've learned through many years of practice that we can't just go to our funders and legislators, our external stakeholders, and ask for what we want, even though that's would be easy. We need to bring ideas and resources to the table to support their priorities, and we need to listen. Somebody recently mentioned, in an hour-long meeting, 55 minutes should be listening and 5 should be talking. The best partnerships are those where the partners understand each other's priorities and goals, and when everyone is working toward the same thing. And I think it's safe to say that we're all working toward the same thing here. In the cleaning up of our city, the Corps' value proposition is not a hard one to sell. It's really a win-win-win. It's good for the city, it's good for the Corps, and it's good for the communities where our Corps members are doing this work. We continue to think outside the box at the Corps. It's not just conservation projects or greening our communities. It's ensuring that every Angelino is living in a healthy neighborhood and has the support and resources they need to thrive and survive. We've been fortunate to have great relationships with our city partners, and we have good friends in the corporate and philanthropic community in Southern California. It takes all of us to do this holistic work, and we're only as good as our partnerships. And we're only as good as our partnerships, and I really believe we are better together. We survived the pandemic with support from our friends, some of whom are on this call, and we couldn't, in this meeting, and we couldn't have done it without our city family and the additional support of our county and state partners, foundation supporters, corporate contacts, and individual supporters. We're fortunate to have a community of friends who believe in the Corps and our Corps members, and that has been the key to our success. So looking forward to lots more work in this area and lots more partnership development.
Thank you for that. We are almost at time, so I'm going to say thank you to everyone for participating. In light of what Wendy just said, we do want to thank our sponsor for this event, SoCal Gas, for helping us bring this series all year long together. The next event should take place in June, and we're thinking about topics that, again, would illuminate the intersection between the work we do in the community and what we hope to provide to young adults like Jasmine, and the opportunities they're creating for themselves and for each other. We have a few more minutes. If any of you panelists want to ask each other any questions, feel free. I appreciate everybody in the chat offering. We know there's lots of good ideas and solutions out, good ideas out there in the community. It takes long conversations to figure all this kind of stuff out. So keep at it.
I would like to close out by saying, we have a mandate to restore the pride in our city. And what better way to do it than just, using nonprofits like the Corps to do that. And it's this whole thing when we talk about education, we're in a time where people don't want like a door handle on the things about, we need to do a campaign. And what better campaign around cleaning the city than seeing people in their communities, taking responsibility, working together to address this issue. So I think one of the biggest challenges is when we talk about education, who do we want to educate? Who do we want to target? And who are best tools to help us, spread the message about, that cleaning our city is about, restoring that pride. So then better than our young Corps members.
Absolutely. Anything you want to say, Jasmine, before we wrap up? Yes, no, you don't have to. It's okay. Well, everybody, go ahead.
Just going to say thank you. Thank you, Irvin. Thank you, Jasmine, for all of your work every day. Thank you, Barbara, for being such a great partner. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We appreciate your time. And we know we can continue to count on you to support us in this work. And thank you, Erica, for being a great facilitator today.
My pleasure. Great conversation. And we have been recording this, so this will be up on our YouTube channel soon. So if you know someone who wasn't able to watch and you think they should hear what's going on, please share. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will say goodbye.